The National Museum of Mathematics welcomes visitors of all ages 7 days a week.
They make like games, and you're learning and you don't even notice.
So people think that math is just about, numbers and symbols all on a page and incomprehensible equations. And we want to show people the meaning behind the math.
Located on Manhattan's East Side, the museum is chock full with all kinds of hands-on displays and activities. So, what are the 5 most interesting exhibits for teens here at the museum?
Well, come on, Scott, how about I show you?
All right. Our first stop is the human tree. That's what you turn into when you step on the red circle. You can change the seasons and even create intricate combinations. The point of this exhibit is to teach about fractals.
A fractal is where you take one unit and you repeat it over and over again, ever smaller each time. And so you'll notice that each generation of this tree is another copy of you and of me. We're just getting smaller and smaller.
When it comes to learning about patterns, you might say this exhibit on fractals is tremendous. Let's move on to number 4.
So let's come to the 4th exhibit now, number 4. This is called Harmony of the Spheres. And this is an exhibit that focuses on the relationship between math and music. And the way it works is that each one of these balls represents a chord that has 3 notes, which is also called a triad. So when I touch that, we're hearing a chord.
Depending on which spheres you touch, you can actually create not just different music, but different emotions.
I can show you that on this side we have a minor chord, so that sounds kind of sad, whereas on this side we have a major chord, and that sounds kind of happy.
So it's musical math then?
It's musical math, and this is one of 2 music and math exhibits we have in the museum. There are a lot of relationships between math and music.
Next is number 3. The math square is a colorful way to show relationships. For example, here it's drawing a border around each kid to literally prove a point.
That border shows all the points on this square that are closer to them than to any other person on the square. So you might have a very big portion if there's nobody near you, or if there's lots of people standing around, you'll all get very small portions.
Okay, well, do you mind if I try it out?
Not at all. Let's step right on. You've got a very big region. I've got a smaller region because I'm sharing with this young man.
Next on our must-see list is a high-tech sculpture competition. The first step is designing an image on the computer.
The best part about this is not only is she creating something beautiful, but we can then print those on our 3D printer.
Not every design gets printed. Visitors vote for their favorites. The images receiving the most votes are transformed from computer images into physical objects.
So this actually prints out what kids have drawn in a 3-dimensional shape.
Yes, it actually builds by putting a layer after a layer after a layer.
The objects created by the 3-dimensional printer become part of the exhibit.
When we return, we'll find out what the most popular exhibit is here at the Museum of Mathematics.
We're touring the 5 most popular exhibits at the Museum of Mathematics. So far, we have learned about fractals, musical triads, the properties of a square, and designing in 3 dimensions. Proof positive that math is anything but dull.
At first I was kind of skeptical. I was like, a museum about math, but then we came in and it was so much fun.
A lot of people, when they hear about a museum for math, may think it's boring. So what did you think?
I thought it was pretty cool.
So would you tell other kids to come here, and what would you tell them was fun about it?
Everything.
And the top exhibit here at the Museum of Mathematics?
Now, this is the most popular exhibit in the whole museum. This is our square wheel tricycle exhibit, and what's so surprising about it is that you can ride on bicycles that have square wheels, and your ride is perfectly smooth.
The secret is the design. The wheels and the bumpy surface they ride on fit together with mathematical precision. For all you math mavens, it has to do with what's called a catenary curve.
And so the square wheels, the point of the wheel is exactly fitting into the bottom of each hump. And so you get a perfectly smooth ride because the bicycle seat is not going up and down, but the wheel mates perfectly with the track. And that's one example of how mathematics can make the seemingly impossible suddenly possible.
Math at its finest.
Absolutely.
While they say seeing is believing, I needed a test ride to be convinced. Amazingly, it was just like riding a bike with round wheels. No question about it, all the exhibits here add up to a fascinating experience. At the National Museum of Math, I'm Scott for Teen Kids News.